Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about literary theory and criticism. So, what is theory? This is a term that I'm sure you've heard before, but many people don't really understand what it is. Theory is a set of concepts and intellectual frameworks used to understand society, culture, and how our preconceptions of the world affect the ways we perceive it. I like to think of theory as a lens. Okay, let's say you're wearing a pair of sunglasses that the lenses are like a dark blue. You take them off and then you put a different pair of sunglasses on, and the frames are like a rose gold. What you're looking at through both sunglasses is exactly the same, right? Like the image you're looking at doesn't change. But because the lenses are different, what you're seeing is different, right? The image is either dark blue or it's rose gold, right? So it changes the way we see things. And this is how theory works. When we apply theory to literature, it becomes literary theory. So we use theory, we apply theory to different literary texts to help us analyze and interpret what these texts mean. Theory essentially gives us different vocabulary, terms, and tools for academic reading and writing, and it helps us understand literature and the world better. I'm not sure this has ever happened to you, but maybe you've been reading something or watching something on TV and you know you like it, you know it's good, but you can't necessarily articulate why it's good or why you like it. This is where theory comes in. It gives you the vocabulary, it gives you the terms and the words that you need to actually articulate what it is you're getting out of something. And so, of course, this class, we're looking at literature. So theory is going to give you the terminology, give you the vocabulary to say, this is why I think the text means this. Okay, so literary theory is extremely important, and hopefully you get a lot out of it. So the power of theory, like what does theory do for us? We just kind of talked about it a little bit, but it unlocks the power of literature. In my opinion, the power of literature is the way a text is able to provide us new perspectives. Like you could pick up a book or a poem and read about somebody who lives in a different place than you, is a different sex or gender, a completely different life, right? That you may not experience ever in like your normal, real, everyday to day life. But when you pick up that piece of literature, you are able to experience a new perspective. You're able to experience what this person's life is like just through the pages of a book, right? And that is so extremely powerful. And I think we're kind of losing sight of that over the years, and people read less and less. But it's so extremely important, and literature is so powerful. And so when we use theory when we're reading, it helps us get new perspectives, but it also helps us understand the subtext. Subtext is essentially what the author is saying, or what is being said, like kind of behind the scenes. So you have like the actual text, the plot, you understand what's happening in the story, but what's going on beneath the text, right? Like what is this text actually saying? What is the message the author is trying to convey to us, right? Like I said before, theory provides tools for expression, allows us to articulate the reasons behind what we like and definitely what we don't like. That's also super important. It's very difficult sometimes when you don't like something and somebody asks you, well, why don't you like it? And you can't really explain. You kind of feel silly, right? And so again, theory comes in right here, helps us articulate why we like or don't like something. Theory also enables us to study the approach to literature, not just the literature itself. So again, going beyond the plot, going beyond what's just happening story-wise in whatever literary text you're reading. And it helps us use critical thinking when we're reading and connecting a text to a larger concept. So what does this piece of literature mean outside of the context of these pages, right? Like what is this book saying about society at large? What is it trying to reveal to us about the world, okay? And theory helps us understand these things. So there are a lot of different theories out there in the world. We are only going to cover a few in this class, but there are so many that you will come across in your academic career. Each literary theory offers a unique perspective on a text. So, how we analyze literature is determined by what theory we're applying to the text, right? It determines what aspects of the text that we're actually looking for or paying attention to. So, for example, if we are analyzing a text through feminist theory, which we'll talk about this semester, what we're going to actually be looking for is, maybe gender dynamics between two characters, or how traditional gender roles shape a character's identity. If we were reading the same text through like critical race theory, which we will also do this semester, some of that might not matter. Instead, maybe we're looking at racial dynamics rather than gender dynamics, how race shapes a character rather than how gender shapes a character. So again, the lens or the theory that we're reading through does not change the text itself, but it changes what we're looking for. It changes what aspects of the text that we're paying attention to. There are definitely more than one valid interpretation of literature. So what you think a piece of literature means may be different than what I think a piece of literature means, or another classmate of yours thinks. That doesn't necessarily mean that any of our interpretations are wrong or invalid. There are so many different valid interpretations of literature. As long as you can back up your interpretation, like with proof from the actual text. So you take your theory, you apply it to the text, and you pull out different aspects of the book, and you combine those aspects and say, okay, based on what I found in the book, I think this literature or this piece of text is saying this. And then I might say, oh, that's really interesting. I actually didn't pick up on that. I noticed this different aspect, and that made me have this interpretation. So again, there are more than one valid interpretations of literature. There are so many, as long as you can back up your interpretation with textual evidence from whatever literature it is you're reading. So what's the difference between theory and criticism? These two words are often used interchangeably incorrectly because they're very different. They do have a symbiotic relationship, but they are far from the same thing. They reference and reinforce each other, but it's important for us to understand the difference between the two. So theory, like we've talked about, is what we use when we analyze texts through a specific lens. Criticism are specific writings about specific works, authors, genres, things like that, using theory, right? So if I read a book and I wanted to write an essay on it, right, and publish it, I could apply feminist theory to a book and write a piece of criticism about that book, okay? So theory is what we apply to a text. Criticism is what we write using the theory that we apply, okay? If that's confusing to you, please let me know. Hopefully it'll make more sense to you once we start applying theory and reading different pieces of literary criticism. You'll be able to see the difference. Again, they have a symbiotic relationship, but they are not the same, okay? They reference and reinforce each other, but they are definitely different. These are the theories we're going to discuss this semester. So we're going to start with feminist theory. After feminist theory, we are going to kind of leave off theory a little bit and start talking about poetry. After that, we are going to talk about psychoanalytic theory, and we're going to wrap the semester up with some critical race theory. All right, that is it for this lecture. I will see you guys next time.